Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 44. I'm your host, Pam, and today we're going to be talking to Jessica. Jessica, or Jess, is the owner of the Jess Press, an award-winning hand calligraphy and bespoke papery studio located in Middletown, New Jersey. Besides being a business owner, she's a mom, a dog mom, wife, coffee lover, and a new host of Jess Press Play podcast. Follow her at the Jess Press _ on Instagram and Jess Press Play Pod. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, Jess. Welcome to You the Boss podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to come on.
Yeah, of course. So we usually just dive right in here at You the Boss podcast. You know, give us a little bit of your background, kind of how you got to where you are and that kind of thing.
Cool. So I'm Jess. My name is very present in my life and business. I own the Jess Press, which is a stationery and calligraphy design studio in Middletown, New Jersey. I primarily work in weddings, doing everything from all save the dates, invitations, day of stationery to everything for signage for weddings, from seating charts to welcome signs, cocktails, basically a one-stop shop for all your wedding needs in terms of calligraphy and printing. And then I am the host of a podcast, also with my name in it, Jess Press Play. So my niche there is I interview small business owners, and my little tagline, I think, is something like about life, growth, and where to get your favorite coffee. Because I always have coffee, and it's 6:14, and I'm drinking coffee.
And I'm sure you'll sleep just fine tonight. So
I will. With the 2.5-year-old who's going to wake me up tonight anyway, it's fine.
Oh, man. All right. So we have a full plate here, which we love. One of the things that I really love here in this podcast is kind of connecting with people who are just a boss in their day-to-day, right? It's not so much whether you're a business owner or not, but just you're not just doing the one thing, you're doing multiple things, which just so happens to be what you're doing. So how long have you been in business for yourself, and how did you kind of pivot to that?
Yeah, so the Jess Press has been my full-time business for over 6.5 years. Yeah, it was 6 years in May.
Wow.
So before that, I have my BFA in graphic design illustration. I always worked in the cosmetics and beauty industry as a package designer, graphic designer, on a lot of like high-end brands. And I was working in Manhattan doing that fun commute for a long time. My last job I had been at for 4 years, and I worked my way up from a designer, senior designer, to an art director. So then I had a team under me, and I actually really loved what I did. We worked in like licensing. So I worked with some like amazing brands like Disney. Like I was able to go to like Disney Consumer Products in California, like Universal, like really, really, really cool stuff. But I always just had this idea in my head of Jess Press. I didn't have a name at the time though. And at the time, there was someone that I had followed, like not even in New Jersey, who had a wedding business for invitations and calligraphy. And I always thought, oh my God, wouldn't that be so cool to have this one day? And, I was commuting 1 hour each way on the train and always just looking into new mediums to try. I used to have a cake business. I used to work at the Cake Boss. That's a story for another time. I have like such a life. I really dive into all mediums. So I started teaching myself calligraphy. I even took a class in person, but it wasn't my vibe. It was very like old English calligraphy. And honestly,
Mm,
from watching like YouTube videos and just really practicing, it just happened. And through the wonders of Instagram, I had gone to Hobby Lobby, bought a wood sign and some markers, and one night just started practicing on on a few pieces and posted one. It was like home decor, and I had multiple people message me and ask, "Where did you get that? Oh my God, I love it!" And this, is when like Instagram was very 6.5 years ago was still like cool Instagram, like how they found like
mm-hmm.
Joanna Gaines and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, like people notice this. And then I went and bought a mirror and did a fake seating chart with like just people in my family's names, posted it, got a message. A girl was that I went to high school with was like, I'm getting married. I can't find anyone local. Everyone's on Etsy. It's too expensive for shipping. Can I hire you? And I was like, yes. And I still remember that was my first order for a wedding. I walked downstairs to my husband and shook his hand. And I was like, I just got my first order. And that was the fall 2018. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I just went, I just went with it. Started posting, started a business page, started posting, just posting, posting, posting. I was commuting to the city, so I was leaving the house before 6 to get like a 6:15 train. I wasn't getting home till 7. I was working all night. I was networking during the day, during my lunch break on Instagram. I was going on weekends to like babes in business events and just anywhere that I could talk to someone to introduce
Get yourself
myself,
out
got
there.
myself into local shops. It's all about networking. Networking is so important. Um, got myself in local shops with home decor, which I don't even do any home decor now. I'm strictly weddings and events.
Wow.
And just doing stuff like that is how you open the door and meet people. And then I end up getting hired by shops, like write their menus on chalkboards and stuff like that. And that just opened me up to all the possibilities. And this sounds so wild, but 6 months later, I went full time. I was able to replace my New York City salary, and then that was it from there.
Wow. So first of all, even though it's been a while, congratulations. I don't know
Thank
if you
you.
know,
Thank
I don't know if you
you.
know the statistics. I think with small businesses, typically, I know with restaurants, it's like you don't see most people don't make it to year 5. And then if you make it to year
Yep.
5, you don't even see like a plus until like year 6. So
Mm,
congratulations. That is such a big deal,
thank
especially with how the wedding industry has changed through a pandemic
you.
and
Oh yeah,
that entire thing. So that is awesome. Congratulations. And
so much.
good on you to walk away from a New York salary, which I'm sure was probably so scary.
It was really hard. It was very scary. But I just like sorry, I just put my phone on do not disturb, so when it rang, I don't I know, I'm sure it's cliche, like just gut feelings. And I knew, and I was presented with an opportunity because at the time I was teaching workshops too, and I was presented with an opportunity to teach like weekly workshops, and I was like, this can be a thing, and I could do this. And then I just like truly worked my ass off, if I can say that.
Yeah.
You just you need to want it. You can't just expect it to happen. It won't happen. When you're a business owner, you're the only one that can make it happen for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a message within itself because I have this conversation with my friend Joe all the time that everyone always thinks, if anyone's listening, you could probably hear my 5.5-month-old screeching in the background. A lot of people think that I'm going to go into business for myself and I have this great thing and that's it. I'm going to be a millionaire. That's kind of like the fast track.
Dream.
And then they go and do it for 6 months and they're like, this is hard. And you're like, yeah, yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
hard work, but you also have to want it. And it sounded like that's what you wanted to do, and I think that's awesome. Did you
I thank you. Yeah, I really knew I had something. So, but go on.
I was gonna ask, like, when you made that decision to go full time, when you started, was that your end goal? Like, did you want to stay home? Because I know people think that a small business is like, oh, you're at home, you can make your own schedule, and they almost glamorize that, forgetting that, like,
Oh, I think I say this like every week, so thank you so much for validating that.
yeah, everyone's always
Yeah,
like, you could do whatever you want. Like, you can, you know,
no, it,
no.
false. False is the most false thing ever. Yes, at the time we weren't in the house that we're in now. We owned a different house and I was working out of a small bedroom. I knew this couldn't be like feasible, especially because people always wanted to meet with me in person also,
Hmm.
especially for invitations. So I couldn't really be meeting with them like in my kitchen. And then we got a dog and it didn't make sense. And, I always had this idea that I wanted us to get like a house that had more expansion anyway, and a house that I kept looking for a house that had a private entrance already, and I couldn't find anything. And then we found a house that had a basement, a finished basement, it has semi-finished basement. So we put in a door and did all of that. But, at the time I didn't really know. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this from home. Like, is this a thing? Like, can I just do this from home? And I mean, yes, a lot of the people in the wedding industry, even floral designers, work out of their houses. They just have studios in their homes, which is awesome to have that option. I just knew at the time, like in our old house, it wouldn't be feasible because I have so much inventory.
Hmm.
So many. I have an entire closet just of materials. So I just knew I would either have to like rent a space at some point, and who wants to pay a rent for it's such an overhead. And we invested in our house to have this space, but I just look at it like, well, it just makes the value of our house go up. Now we have a basement that we can just walk out of, and that's where clients come. It is hard though being in your house. I mean, like mine's in the basement, so and it's like completely finished now. We finished everything. That's where I am right now. It's very hard to be able to turn off because
Mm.
I could easily just come downstairs and do some work if I needed to. And now that I have a child, it's not possible to do that,
Hmm.
but it's good. It helps me set my boundaries more. But I do like the fact that I am in my basement. So at the end of the night, I shut off all the lights, I close the door, I'll even lock it. It kind of like just makes it feel like the day is done, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I'll only come down here if like deliveries come once my childcare leaves and I have to just bring stuff down. But or otherwise here to talk to you, or podcast. But otherwise, I really try to hold that boundary. But it's very hard. I feel like through the years, I've had friends who think too, like, oh, you could just like run out whenever you want. And like majority of my days, especially through the hype of wedding season, May through October, I'm not even leaving my house. Right now, I'm starting to calm down a little as we move into November, December. I still have weddings, but it's not like as insane at the moment. But there's times I won't leave my house the whole week.
Mm.
And then I'll run out to get a coffee. And it's like, oh, you can just like run out to get a coffee. And it's like, no, I haven't left the house in 4 days, actually.
Wow.
um, so it's hard. It's really hard, but it's also like it's a bittersweet thing. It's a blessing that I can do this for myself in my home, but it's hard to be able to turn off all the time.
Yeah. I think it's so important what you said, that number one, it's not always the easiest to leave the house. Like, you have to almost like pre-plan, especially now as a
Mm-hmm. Of
mom. You have to pre-plan like leaving the house, and you probably also have to force yourself to leave the house because you're like, I've been in here
course.
for 4 days. I need to go outside.
I will procrastinate for an hour. And in that time, I'm like, I could have already just gone out and come back. I'll like guilt myself. Like, if I have to go mail out invitations and hand cancel everything at the post office, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going out already. Like, maybe I have 5 minutes to just stop and like treat myself to a coffee. And then when I say it, I'm like, I sound insane. Like, I'm taking 5 minutes out of my whole week to go and get a coffee. Like, Jessica, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like you just go back back and forth, and I don't have childcare every day for my son, and he's going to start preschool in March, but like I can't be working 24/7 anymore. It's just not possible.
Yeah. And it's, you know what? I've had this discussion with a few of my friends that are wedding photographers, and one of them, she's been in the industry now over 10 years, and I think she's been fully retired 7-ish of those years. But that initial like 4 or 5 years, she was taking 20 to 25 weddings. She was doing triple headers. She was working a full-time job and, she was hustling. And there's a point that I hope people take away from this is there's a point that you have to hustle and you just have to burn the candle at both ends. And then there comes a time, not so much that you relax, but at some point you can raise prices. You can make those boundaries and say, you know what, I don't have to do that anymore. Or I can't do that for the time being, and you figure things out. So I think it's great that, first of all, that you're aware of your boundaries. And I'm sure it's not easy every day to have them, but you're aware of having them. So kudos to you.
I mean, thank you so much. I mean, my son's 2.5. I'm still learning how to do that. Like, I'm restructuring for 2025, changed my pricing. And to be frank, all of my printers changed their pricing. So why am I not going to raise what, you know what I mean? Like, it just, especially since COVID, like everything's increased. The price of acrylic, because people are buying the plexiglass to block each other. And acrylic's one of the main materials they use for signs. Like, that increased. Wood in general increased. Like, anyone doing work to their house would cost more. Paper, there was a paper shortage during COVID. I couldn't get invitations in. It's crazy. Everything is so much more. So now I'm getting to a point that I'm like what you said, I don't have to take all of that. During COVID, I had 200 weddings because in 1 year, when everything got redone, even if it was just one sign, because a lot of people scaled back. They weren't doing the same budget. They were cutting down the amount of people at the wedding. People didn't need as much. And then all of a sudden, that's when the photographers had these triple wedding weekends and like craziness. And now I'm trying to structure my year next year to not have more than 50 weddings. And that's insane to me, because I'm like, oh my God, 50 weddings. Like, that's crazy, because I'm used to like 100. And I'm just telling myself it's like the right thing.
100 weddings. Thinking about that now. Thinking about that now.
Like, saying it out loud is like crazy.
That's a third of the year.
I know, it's wild. I'm like, Jessica, what? Like, I'm like, you have to stop. And I've worked with like some coaches also, like business coaches, to like really scale down, and like, I don't have to do this anymore. I'm 6.5 years in. I don't have to take one signature cocktail side. I changed minimums 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be that way. And yes, you're going to hustle. And if you care that much about your business, you will put all of it into it, and you will hustle. And there's going to be a time where you're going to sit back and be like, wow, that's so great that I'm still hustling and working hard, but I don't have to kill myself every day working.
Right. And what a blessing that is. We're going to take 1 second just to check on the little guy. Just give me one moment.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're back. So now I want to get into a little bit of the kind of like the nitty gritty. So you are a mom. You had a baby during the pandemic. So that's its own situation within itself. So what has that been like? What's it been like to go from business owner to business owner and mom?
I wish that I had an answer. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, even just your son's 5 months, you know the difference between 1 month and 5 months. It's so different. So, right? Like it's wild. And then once they start walking, it's everything changes. And my son started walking at 10 and a half months. So we got started
Oh
real early in the
no.
house. Yeah. And I still had friends whose kids weren't walking till like 15 months and they were like chilling much better than I was. My son's name is Walker, and everyone's always like, his name should be Runner because he runs. He doesn't walk, he
His
runs.
name should be Runner.
Um, we always say we're like, at least he's not boring. Like he's so he,
I think I accidentally muted
oh,
you.
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, I think yeah, what I say, everyone says he should be named Runner. Um, so honestly, I'm still figuring it out because as he gets older, and I don't mean this in a bad way when I use the word needy, but he's more needy. Like he needs me more. When he was an infant, they sleep a lot. When
Mm-hmm.
even, he doesn't really nap anymore. So he looks for me. He knows I work in the downstairs. He'll come to the door and try to open it. And then there's days I have to lock it, which like breaks my heart. But like if I have deadlines, like ugh, it makes it so hard. And then there's days I just want to run upstairs and give him a hug. And then I'm like, oh, but if I come run up and give him a hug, it's going to take me a half an hour to get back to work because he's going to be freaking out. So I have a lot of struggle in that way where I'm trying to do what's best for him
Mm-hmm.
and best for me. But like, there's no winning. It's really just like going with your heart. And there's days where I'm like, I don't care. I just want to give him a hug. Whatever. Am I going to
Yeah.
lose 20 minutes working? Well, I'll lose 20 minutes. That just seeing him will be worth me losing that 20 minutes. Um, but I have to say, like, I'm really still navigating. It's definitely changed things. I can't run downstairs and work whenever I want to, like I used to in the past. But honestly, it's, I think, beneficial because I never knew how to stop. I was always going,
Mm-hmm.
going, going, and going. This is something I'm working on in therapy also. I haven't worked in the city for 6.5 years and I'm still in that city mentality of go, 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 go. Go run down the stairs out of the building through the back entrance to run to the train. So I didn't miss the train. So I got home at the certain time that I want to get home so that I don't end up on a delayed train. I'm still in that even though I'm home. It's really hard to be able to just like turn your brain off, especially when you own a business because it's all on you. So now I'll say, no, my nanny is leaving at 4 o'clock today. I'm done. I'm done for the day. I can't meet at any other time until my husband's home. And even then, maybe I won't. I'm meeting with you now, but meeting with you is like a treat, like it's
Yeah. It's
different than
different.
like, yeah, like having a consultation and all the energy that it takes to meet with people. So
Yeah.
I
And
have to say each day is a different day.
thank you for meeting with me. I know
Oh,
presently
yeah.
as I hold my little one,
Cutie.
it
Oh my
just
God, hold him the whole time. I know it's not that easy for you, but I wish I could play with him.
as long as he's not like, chatty box,
Crying.
he's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about pivotal points for you.
Yep.
I know you mentioned kind of a little bit that you were working in the city and then you were just like, I'm going to change this up. So, what would you say were some of your pivotal moments since you've been in business, since you walked away from that corporate career?
So when I was working in the city and I wasn't full time yet for Jess Press, I joined the Knot. And joining the Knot opened me up to a lot of opportunities, opened me up to meeting a lot of different vendors. Um, Honestly, just communicating. I still to this day usually do, but I know a lot of vendors now, so I don't have to as much. But I used to always make sure that I knew who the photographer was. If there's a wedding planner, I would send a message introducing myself. That's how you meet people. Now there's so many and I work with a lot of the same people, so I kind of already know. And now I have like one when I work with a client, I have their whole checklist of who they're working with. So a lot of the time it's not as difficult for me to get pictures because it still is all these years later. But um, I really took steps at like creating relationships. And, some of the best moments of my entire career for Just Press have been because of the people I've met and the experiences that I've had. And one of my favorite parts of being a business owner has been meeting people and making friends. Like I have some of the best friends now just because they are also business owners. And I think that's like the most special thing. I've also created relationships with clients like who are friends, and I love that. And then they come back for their kids or siblings, and it's just like makes me feel so happy. So but once I got on the Knot, a year later, I was full time at that point, and I won the best of weddings for that year
Wow.
by the Knot. And honestly, now I'm a Hall of Famer for the Knot, and I've won every year that I've been in business, and then I became Hall of Fame at year 5. So honestly, that was huge. Like having a recognition, people seeing that you were recognized, because they only recognize like 10% of the people that are on the Knot, is a big deal. And it really just kind of makes you stand out. And I mean, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't put everything that I needed into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I feel like that was huge. And then recently I got invited to New York Fashion Week for bridal. So that was huge. That was just like a really
What?
pivotal moment for me. Yeah, it was 2 weeks
That
ago
is
and I went, and it
awesome.
was like literally, thank you. It was like literally one of the best days of my life. I swear. It was in New York City, and I got to go with some friends who were invited too. And then earlier this year, which was humongous for me, probably the biggest moment for Just Press was I was named best of by Loverly on, they came up with a list called the best of weddings, and they had over 200,000 nominations, and they only picked about, this was across the country, so it was United States. They did a separate one for international, but for the United States, it was separated by category, like Northeast, Southern, Northwest, and I think like Midwest. And I was chosen as one of the best. And there were
Wow.
only about like 25 for Northeast. So that's like the entire Northeast. So that same day that I was in the city for Fashion Week, they had a party for the winners that same night. So it really worked out, perfect timing. So that was huge. So that was really monumental for me. And it kind of made me sit back and be like, did I make it? Like, this is it, right? Like, I made
Yeah, am
it. Like,
I an overall
what?
badass?
Am I
Is
here?
this
I
happening?
know. Because, like, everyone, I mean, if you're not insecure, like, God bless you. I'm still insecure. And people, I will be out, like, even in just my town or wherever. And even, like, I brought my son to a class and I introduced myself. I said, oh, my name's Jess. I was talking to a mom, and she's like, oh, what do you do? Like, are you at home with him? And I was like, no, I own my own business, like, in my house. And I was like, oh, I work in weddings, like stationery, calligraphy. I usually just tell people I work from home. I don't really want to like be like, oh, I
Get
own my own
into the whole
business, and then
thing.
like have to talk about myself, Like it's like then you feel like braggy. But I just did, and she's like, wait, do you own the Jess Press? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And this has
I
happened like
love
many times.
that.
So it's hilarious. And I like forget that a lot because I'll meet people and they're like, oh my God, you're Jess Press? And I'm like, yes. Um, so it's pretty hilarious. And then people think that's my last name and it's not, but it sounds fun.
Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's so important to be recognized for the work that you do, because while yes, you get paid to do what you do, it also feels good to have the recognition. And Nicholas feels the same, he
Oh,
thinks
I
that you should.
know. Thank you so much. Oh my God. I can't take it. So cute.
So it's definitely, it's great that you have seen some recognition, and I hope that continues for you, because again,
Oh, thank you so much.
it's so
Me too.
important. Hey, bud. Hey.
Oh, cutie.
Hey,
But can I
Happy.
just tell you how freaking great you are? You are running a podcast right now. Well, I could never have my son down here when I'm doing a podcast. Like,
Check
good
back
for
in about a
you.
year.
Like,
Let's see how that goes.
but still, even when he
Thank
was a
you.
baby,
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
you're awesome.
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
Oh my God.
So I do want to ask you, what's kind of like and when I say recent, it might be
Yeah.
longer than recent, but what's like a recent challenge that you've faced in your business that maybe you needed to come up with a unique way to kind of overcome?
Oh,
I'm gonna say there's probably like a
where
jillion of them, so.
do I get started? So I've had like a lot of personal things that have happened that I feel like that those are things that I've had to overcome for business because no matter what, at the end of the day, you have bookings and you have clients, so you have to get it done. Um, I to get into some sadness, I lost my mom from cancer 3 weeks before my son was born. So I was set to start maternity leave. And when I say maternity leave, this is my chosen maternity leave because as a business owner, they don't give you maternity leave.
Yeah, they don't pay you. They don't
They
they don't take care of
do
you.
not pay you people. They didn't even pay during COVID for being unemployed. So, okay. So I had February 18th as like my last day, and my mom passed away on February 18th. And I swear she like held out because she like knew that was the date. Because I remember she texted me a week before asking me what day was my last day. And even then, I still had stuff coming in from print for one wedding that was delayed. So it didn't end up coming in until like the next week. And I still had to like get stuff, like have a bride pick up stuff. But, my son was born 3 weeks later to the day. I had a lot of birth trauma. I had an emergency C-section. I'm still working through a lot in therapy. I developed postpartum preeclampsia. And when I was pregnant, I had an amazing pregnancy. And, I've tried to like pre-warn friends now, like it never goes how you think it's gonna go. And I booked weddings. I didn't want to miss spring. So my first wedding was gonna be May 1st. And I was like, this is happening. My son was
Like
born
2 months
March 11th.
postpartum? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
because I'm a psycho. So my son was born March 11th. He was 8 days late. They also said I was going to be like a week early, and obviously that didn't happen. And then I was in the hospital a full week. My son was in the NICU that whole week that I was in the hospital also. And then all of a sudden you're like home back to life. I wasn't handling anything maternity wise. My best friend has always worked in HR, and I basically hired her to like check in once a week and handle whatever needed to be handled with my away message on that I'm on maternity leave. And then by May 1st, I was back to weddings. So I was figuring out how to mom and be back to weddings. Very grateful my husband had a very good paternity leave and was still home while we figured out childcare, but having to some days be the childcare and juggling getting all the work done, stressful. Then I developed postpartum OCD at 9 months postpartum. My grandfather
Oh my
passed
God, it
away
doesn't
in the middle
stop.
of that.
Ugh.
Doesn't stop. And when I developed OCD for about a week, I was like debilitated and couldn't do anything. And I was like, how am I supposed to work? And it happened like right around Christmas. So luckily it was like a slower wedding time, but I still had stuff that had to get done. And I remember I was like living in fear because that's the type of OCD that I had, that just like bad things would keep happening. It would be my fault because I had so many unfortunate things happen. That's how it like
Mhm.
got me. And I still had to come down and get work done, but I have to say, like, as much of, and I'm still on my journey of OCD, and I do therapy, specific therapy for it. I am currently in recovery for it, but it's kind of, once you have like anxiety, it's like kind of forever. You just kind of you figure out how to
Deal
deal
with
with
it.
it. And I know how to now, but there's still times when, you're under stress, something happens and it can trigger. And it has happened to me a few times. So, for me, when I think of struggles in business, I've had struggles with printers being delayed and messing up my timelines and brides getting mad at me. But at the end of the day, like, I have no control over that in general. And I can just do what I can. But dealing with the mental health issues for myself were my biggest struggles, because I was getting up, being a mom every day, still taking care of my son, making sure he got breakfast, waking up with him all night because he still doesn't sleep through the night, getting all my work done, and it's like still struggling mentally. Though that's been my biggest, but if I've learned anything about myself, it's that first off, work actually helps me because it remembers who I am, and it helps me remember how hard I've worked to get here. So I know I could work that hard to get out of anxiety and struggle. And it just reminds me that, even through all the downs, like through the darkness, like the sun still comes out, and you just figure it out.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let's continue the trend of you are a badass because so I can't even begin to understand some of the things that you've experienced in such a short time. It's funny as I'm hearing you talk, some of our story is similar.
Yeah.
I so I still have my mom, but my brother got married last October in Dominican Republic, and we came back from the trip and she had a fever. She went to the ER and she hasn't been home since. She's been in and out of rehab centers. She was in and out of rehab centers while I was pregnant and now postpartum. And that's been a journey within itself. I also had an emergency C-section.
Oh, my sister.
So
I call my emergency C-section
So
sisters.
it was I was actually induced because that week like 30
I ended up being induced also, kind of like at the end because it wasn't happening.
At like week 34, they diagnosed me with gestational high blood pressure. So my blood pressure was normal before that. I had a very decent pregnancy considering my mom at some point in January, which like the beginning of my second trimester, my mom was on a ventilator in the ICU in a hospital. So
Yep.
a lot of different things in our similar ways. I'm 5.5 months postpartum now, and I think it was something maybe you posted recently or just a conversation or something I read online of someone saying that there's like a portion after their baby was born that they blocked out of their C-section. And I realized that there's like a hour and a half timeline after I heard him cry that I do not remember. I
don't remember. Yeah,
I was in the OR. I was in the OR
Mhm.
and then I was in the hospital room and the only reason I even know that time is missing is because I was looking at pictures and I couldn't remember the first time I held the baby. I couldn't remember that. I remember touching they brought him to like my head when he was first born and they had his hat on him and stuff, but I don't remember the first time I held him. So I was looking through pictures like, well, I mean, I was high. I had the epidural and whatever they gave me in the OR, so who knows. But I say all of that to say that just hearing you talk about the different struggles and honestly, good on you to be in therapy at all, let alone after everything, because it's easy to just say no. It's easy to just be like, this is what defines me now, and that's just that. And I know that you're still on your journey, and I know that you're still in that period. But that's such a big deal that you decided to go to therapy, that you've stuck it out through therapy, and that you're doing it. You're doing the things, girl.
Thank you. I will say therapy is interesting because it's kind of like birth control. You got to try a few to find the right person. Because I worked with 2 therapists before I found my current therapist, and they were not a right fit. And actually, the first therapist I worked with told me to distance my feelings about things. And that's really what kind of ended up making it like explode at 9 months postpartum because I pushed down so much grief and loss and everything that I experienced. And like my son never cried. I never saw him. He went straight to the NICU. I didn't meet him until 2 hours later. When they rolled me into the NICU, they wouldn't let me hold him. I didn't get to hold him until the next day. I've done EMDR, which is a type of trauma therapy, if you've heard of it. It helps you reprocess trauma. So I've reprocessed his birth. It's one of those things that I could be like, it's okay, but I don't have to be happy that it happened that way. It's just, it hurt so much for such a long time that I couldn't even talk about it. And now I can talk about it. And the more I talk about it, and the reason I started a podcast, the more I talk about it, the more other people like, look, I had no idea you had an emergency C-section. Like, the more you learn how many other people go through so much of the same stuff that we all go through, but people are very closed off. They don't want to tell their business. And I understand that. It's very private and personal. But for me, that's what's helped me more than anything is talking about it.
Yeah. And I think, again, that's also just so important. What you just said is that, like, it's not that I don't talk about it. It's just like, I guess you could say I'm just coming to like realize. Because I'm with you.
It could take years sometimes.
I'm with you though. Like, let's talk about it. We should talk about it because if I've reached to the point of like realizing it, then maybe I should start to talk about it because it is such a thing. And I recognize also that both things can exist where like,
yes. Oh my God, you sound like my therapist. That's what she always says.
Both things can exist of like, I wasn't as I don't feel as conventionally traumatized from my emergency C-section because when I was induced, I knew the probability because of my blood pressure. But also, I did receive some blowback from that. And it's like they can both exist, that I'm not conventionally traumatized, but I'm a little traumatized. Like both of those things exist.
I know. And I didn't realize for a little while, sometimes it just doesn't hit you right away. Like all of these statistics they talk about are like kind of BS. Like especially I didn't have postpartum depression. I had OCD and anxiety and PTSD. So they're like, oh, postpartum depression hits within the first month. That's not true. No. I have friends who had hit like a year after, and like every wave of everything is different. And I also went through trauma separately. Like my trauma happened during my perinatal stage too. My mom was very, very, very sick through half of my pregnancy. We had a very small baby shower of 9 people. Because the pandemic, it was when Omicron happened. So like it was like really bad. No one was leaving. So I wasn't leaving the house because I was so pregnant. My mom wasn't leaving the house because she was so sick and she was doing treatment still. So that was the last time I saw her until the day she passed away when I saw her. And she wasn't the same person. She was like, she didn't know. She was gone already. She was gone. She didn't know who I was. She was already like physically removed from her body. So like that's trauma itself, like while a baby's inside of me. And I'm sure you understand, like seeing, especially when your mom's on a ventilator and if you got to see her, like that is so much already besides the fact that you're growing a person inside of you.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. Like they don't talk about, like I know people who have experienced postpartum that they didn't experience it with their first child. They experienced it with
that too. Yeah.
Their second child. And I think some of it is like both of the people that I'm thinking of, they had babies. One of them, it was 6 months before the pandemic, and the other one was, I think it was like May or June of that year that she had her baby. So like that first year, maybe even year and a half, it was all pandemic with their baby. So there's like so many different things. It's like maybe you did have postpartum and no one noticed because we were all in some type of trauma.
Everyone felt like some type of way.
Yeah. So
like for real.
I think it's just such an understated topic. And I have a friend who she just gave birth 6 weeks ago. And so we were pregnant at the same time, but I was like towards the end of my pregnancy and she was still kind of like in the heat of it. And we said that we wanted to start a podcast, and it was like the things that they don't tell you about like pregnancy or having a baby.
Please start it because it's so needed.
Well,
That's
like
why I
one of the
talk about
things
all this stuff.
is exactly that. It's like everyone talks about like you don't sleep or they expect you to
Mhm.
snap back, but no one talks.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about postpartum. They don't talk about postpartum anxiety. They don't talk about that at
Not
all.
never. My OB had no idea what postpartum OCD is. It's now becoming more prevalent because like a few people like on reality TV, moms like experienced
Mm-hmm.
it. Like Sheena Shea from Vanderpump Rules had postpartum OCD, and now she's an advocate and like talks about it. And like that's the only reason that it's even like somewhat relevant, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
the more moms I talk to, like I now have friends that all went through this, but no one knew to talk about it because they were just scared and thought
Mm-hmm.
something's wrong with them. This isn't normal. They're going to take my kid away. But
Oh,
it's
that's the
like,
first
no,
thing.
this could just happen, but like they don't tell us that it could happen. So why would we ever know that it was okay, quote unquote, that it happened? And that's why these resources are important. And that's why these therapies exist. I mean, like, my therapist is one of the only therapists in New Jersey that I think she literally, there's like two that is a certified ICBT therapist, which is for mental OCD compulsions. Mine aren't
Mm-hmm.
physical, mine are mental. If I didn't have her, like, I don't even know, like, I
Yeah.
don't even know, like, how I'd just be still living in my like spirals,
Yeah.
I functioned, but it was horrible. I
You
still
didn't function good.
lived, but
Yeah.
no, it sucked. I still, like I said, like I got up, I took care of my son. Nothing went quote unquote wrong. You're just like, like when you're anxious, you're in your head constant. And for me, it was constant fear
Mm-hmm.
because my days always started out like fine. And then the day my mom died, I got a call. Everything wasn't fine. The day we went in for birth, everything ended up not being fine. Like there's just so much has happened. So, oh, it's just really important. And, I know in the past, like it was so woo woo to talk about trauma and stuff like that. And like it's so ridiculous. And I'm so glad it's so open now. And like, oh my God, just
But it's still not
if
open
you're
enough.
feeling it, it's not
It's
open
still not
enough,
open
but we're
enough.
trying. We're
Mm-hmm.
really like,
Mm-hmm.
you're here and you're trying. I'm here. I'm trying. Like, that's all we can do. And I just hope to help people because since talking before I even had a podcast, just being open and talking about what things I've gone through, either with birth or my mom or something, like the amount of messages in the past 2 years I've received from other people who follow me for like weddings, being like, thank you so much. Like, I've never talked about this. That's
Mm-hmm.
like that's it. Like, I don't even have to do anything else now, but I will. But
Yeah.
like if I could help one other person not feel alone and in the dark, like that's everything.
Yeah. And I think I just I remember a conversation that I had with you. It was like very brief where you were like, it can be very different. I think it was something like that. Like I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the phrase of you being like, yeah, well, it's different for everyone. Um,
That too. I mean, I don't know that's for everything in life. Now I'm like, what were we talking about?
I'll go back and I'll look and I'll like,
I know.
um,
Now I'm gonna check too.
but it's just so relevant to say because again, people expect trauma in general to show up textbook, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
that's the ever growing concept of trauma is
Mm-hmm.
you it shows up differently for everyone in every way. And
Mm-hmm.
what you can even say that what traumatized me might not traumatize you, and that might be your own trauma. Like
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
entire thing
100%.
is a whole thing. So just to kind of wind down a little bit, what since we've talked about a little bit of everything essentially, looking
Yeah.
back, would you say that there's, and if there isn't, of course, um, then there isn't. But looking back, is there anything that you in this journey of yours of becoming a small business owner. Though I don't really like to say small business. I just like to say business owner because
Okay. Yeah.
like what's small to like someone else is like major to someone else. And I think being a business owner in
Aw,
general is a huge thing.
huge. Totally.
Um, so is there anything that you would have done differently in your trajectory of starting your podcast, of being a business owner, of even walking away from your job?
Oh my God, good question. I would have hired the help sooner. Even
Mm,
like I
that's a
now
key
have a
point there.
lawyer and I'm like, why did I wait so long to have one?
Yeah.
And like a really good accountant and now have an excellent one, like one who I don't know what I would do without him. Um, and I feel like those are kind of little things in a way, but they're huge. Like even like I said, I worked with two coaches. I wish I had done that before. Like, and I didn't do anything wrong. It's just that like hearing things from other people's perspective just helps you in any
Mhm.
way. And someone could have one idea that you didn't think of that you're like, oh my God, that's a way better way to organize this. Like, why was I putting so much pressure on myself? I could have just like ask some other people for help, hire some other people for help, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's the only thing I would have done different. I mean, I have no regrets of my background for working and like where I worked because it totally set me up for who I am today, especially as a business owner, of knowing work ethic and determination and the wrongs and rights and how to treat people because I have part-time staff and I can't imagine like I'm so friggin' grateful for these girls who work for me and like I cannot even imagine what it would be like to talk to them the way that I got talked to when I worked for people.
Yeah.
Um like I'm so great like all I think I say thank you to them like 50 times a day because I'm so fucking thankful for them and I don't know how I would be able to do things without them. And yet they thank me and I'm like, are you kidding? Like where would I be without? Are you kidding? Like I'm so freaking grateful for you. Um, but and so yeah, but I think like the timing that I left too was great because at that point I was already running a department for 2 years, so I was able to know what it's like to be the boss,
Mhm.
and have people under you. So yeah, the only thing I would say is like ask for help sooner. Find the right people to help you because you don't have to by yourself. You're just the only one that can push to get to all of those levels in your business.
Right. I think for me, just from everything that you just said, is you don't have to do it yourself. And
Mhm.
I think that's so important to say. I think in anything, but especially when you start a business and you go that route because probably sometimes you get stuck in the yeah, but this is my baby. This is I
Mhm.
started this and while that's very important, it's also important to know your strengths and like you can't do the accounting on your own. You can't, you know, all the different hats that you have to wear. At some point my mom when we were kids, she would say there's a Spanish saying and she would say that you can't you can't have all the burners on the stove on because one of them's bound to burn. And
I love that.
it's like if you have them all on high and the water's boiling in all of them and all the stuff, like everything's going to get everywhere where typically you have to turn them down in certain things and maybe assign them their separate time because otherwise you're going to have an overflow and it just creates chaos. So I think that aligns very much with what you said. Like you don't have to do it by yourself.
I love that. Yeah, and like obviously when I first started my business, I couldn't afford the accountant.
No,
Obviously, like,
of
but
course.
I didn't have to wait as long as I did. I was like, I could
Exactly.
do it. It's fine. Totally.
So give us a little bit of where we can find you. I know you said you have a podcast. I want to include all of that in the show notes. Give us your
Thank you so
Instagram.
much. Yes, so you can follow me at the Jess Press _ on Insta. There is someone who has had at the Jess Press as their name since before I started, and they have like literally 10 followers. And I messaged them 6.5 years ago about it, and they never wrote me back. So it's at the Jess Press with an _, but it'll show up if you just write the Jess Press. And then thejustpressshop.com. And then you can find my podcast page at Just Press Play Pod, and that is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And then you can find me on The Knot, on Wed Vibes, on Loverly.
I
Yeah.
love this.
I'm like, did I forget
It's like
anything?
basically Google me. I love that.
Yeah, you can just Google me too. I'll just show up.
Well, thank you so much for taking time getting on here. Bless you. Getting on here. Another bless you. You're welcome. Thank you for taking your time for coming on here onto You the Boss and just, blessing us with your presence.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for asking me. Thank you so much for having me. Especially if no one sees this, she's literally holding her child on her lap this whole time. Like that is work in itself. But thank you. Honestly, talking to you really it brought my blood pressure down tonight. You're very
Good.
calm
I'm
and
glad.
it's like, yeah, like the way you speak, you're such a great host, and it's so nice to be able to talk to like-minded people. So thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure.
Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Oh, me too.